Welcome to this episode of Sam's Garage. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really fast and easy spine tester. Let's see, what are we going to do first? First, take a piece of wood like this. This is a piece of plywood. And I got to show you how to do everything up here because I don't have a camera person. Just draw a line down the plywood like that. Whoops. Pencil lid broke. Nothing ever goes smoothly when you're doing an online build along, so let me get another pencil. Okay, got another pencil. Draw a line. Then put it here and try to get that line parallel or perpendicular. Drill a pilot hole somewhere in this piece of wood. That piece of wood behind it's pretty strong. And take a screw. See screw? Get it going. Now try to line it up with that hole. Let me go a little bit past up and make sure I get it in that hole there. Pilot hole. Alright. And then just screw it in. Try to keep that line perpendicular. Alright. That's good. Perpendicular line. You can put wood glue right on the back of it if you want to make sure it's more rigid, or put an extra screw in there or whatever. But for demonstration purposes, I'm not going to do that. Okay, now you want to put two nails 26 inches apart, and you want this line to be exactly in the middle. So on the 13-inch mark, let me do it this way. 13-inch mark. Over here, 26 inches, put a little pencil mark right there. And 13-inch mark, 26 inches over here as well. Well, let me just do it like this. Yeah, about 26 inches apart. I'm going to use this square to make sure that I got that correct. Those should be 26 inches apart. And they are, exactly. Okay, now maybe about an inch up on each one. Put in a nail. We're going to do it with my hammer. Wouldn't you know it? I forgot my hammer. Hold on a second. Found it. So at the 26-inch mark, about an inch up, put in a nail. It doesn't have to be in there all that far. You can use finishing nails. Doesn't matter. About an inch. Make sure that they're not pointed in or anything. Try to put it in there straight. Okie dokie. And the next thing is to take a caliper and squeeze clamp. Now you know what, better yet, let's put the arrow on there first. If you're going to put the arrow on there, you want to make sure the grain is right. If the grain should be going vertically, not horizontally. If the feathers are put on right, the cock feather should go up. So you put that on there. And, oh shoot, that one's, I'll put it right there. Yeah, the disadvantage of using nails is the arrow will roll around a little bit. You can glue a little something on one side or the other, or use dowels or something like that to keep it from doing that. So you put the caliper on there, zero it out, Make sure the caliper barely touches the arrow. Put it at the line there. And then hold on a second. Thought it was going to be quick and easy. But no. Okay, clamp the caliper on there like that, and then took a 2-pound weight. All I did was I used a tuna can, and I melted some fishing weights. I went to the grocery store and put the tuna can on the scale, and then I started adding weights until it was well, you know, I measured the weight of the tuna can, and so after adding the weights, it was 2 pounds plus whatever the tuna can was, and plus that little hook screw on there. I accidentally didn't explain in the video, but after weighing the tuna can, the hook screw and the weights at the grocery store, came home, put the tuna can on the stove, melted the weights. And you can do this outside on a grill if you don't want lead poisoning. Then I used some snips and needle nose pliers to get the can off the weight. Then I spray painted the weight so I wouldn't have to touch the lead so much. Then I tapped in a small nail, removed it, then screwed in a hook screw in the hole left by the nail. Some other ideas for weights include a 2-pound dumbbell and a coat hanger, a plastic bottle filled with BBs and a coat hanger through the cap, a 2-pound fishing weight I'm told you can get at fishing stores, and your imagination. Yes, that's right. Your imagination weighs exactly 2 pounds. And then you just put the weight on there, and then you lower the caliper until it touches the arrow, and then you can read it off, and it is reading exactly a 1/2 inch, which is on my spine chart. If you Google AMO spine chart, you'll find this chart. It equates the deflection of an arrow in inches with the spine. That's assuming a 2-pound weight is placed in the middle of the arrow, with the arrow sitting on rest placed 26 inches apart. This chart also assumes your arrow is 28 inches long and that you have a 125 grain tip on it. You can't assume that if your spine matches the weight of your bow that your arrow will be ideal for your bow. There are a lot of factors that affect what proper spine goes with your arrow. For example, the length of the arrow, the weight of the tip, how close the center your arrow rest is, what kind of string you use, whether it's a long bow or a recurve, etc. The best way to find the right spine for your bow is to shoot a variety of arrows all of the same length with the same tip, but spined at different weights, and see which one works best. Anyway, the caliper reads in 32nd inch increments. So to figure out your spine, you have to convert that to a decimal and then read it off the chart. For example, if you got 15 32nds, then punch in 15 divided by 32 into your calculator and you'll get 0.46875. If you look on the chart, you'll see that 0.468 is somewhere between 0.473 and 0.465, which means your spine is between 55 pounds and 56 pounds. In my case, the deflection is exactly 0.5, which gives me a spine of 52 pounds. Rather than do the math each time, I went ahead and calculated 9 32nds all the way up to 28 32nds and wrote it on the spine chart where it belongs. That makes things a lot faster than doing the calculation each time. Notice that the numbers I wrote in are closer together at the lower spines on the left and farther apart at the higher spines on the right. That means the higher the spine, the less precise your measurement will be. Since the caliper reads in 32nd increments per inch, you can actually measure in 64ths. Just call it 32nd if the arrow falls exactly on a line, and call it 64ths if it falls between two lines. That will give you a little more precision for those higher spines. You can calibrate this too for different widths of arrows. It's easy to calibrate it because you know, no matter how the arrow is put on there, you can just simply slide this into place until it zeroes out on the arrow. So it's easy to calibrate. There you have it.